So, part number 2. This question is so hard for me. Be prepared for major soapbox rant. I'm going to try really hard to resist, but the second question is about gender role within the church. Okay. The person who asked me this question on Facebook said, after she said, what is the role of women in the church? She said, I know some people who say the Catholic Church honors and respects women, and some people who say it oppresses women. So she kind of was like, what's the real deal? So, whenever I hear a Catholic claim, or anyone claim that the Catholic Church oppresses women, it usually has to do with either contraception or priesthood. Contraception is enough for its own, 45-minute vlog, so we're not going to go there yet. I will. On some Friday, I will go there. I promise. I will collect information, I will do my research, and I will find an answer. That's something I'm really serious about, is giving good answers to people who ask questions. But I'm not going to answer that question right now. I'm going to focus on, it's about to drop my camera, on women in the priesthood. Why not? What's the deal with denying women leadership? Etc. So, the first objection I have to women priests is that Jesus didn't have any women apostles. Disciples, followers, friends, yes. Apostles? No. The Blessed Mother was not even considered an apostle. And if there's one woman that Jesus wanted to honor above everyone else, believe me, it was the Blessed Mother. I have to assume he did it for a reason. Number 2, in response to my first answer, people often say, well, that was just the cultural norm of the times. Women would never follow a rabbi. And in answer to that, I say he ate with tax collectors and prostitutes. If he cared about the culture of the time and what it dictated, he would have eaten with the priests and the Pharisees, not the tax collectors and prostitutes, and he certainly would not have had a tax collector as a disciple, or as an apostle. Ergo, again, have to assume he did it for a reason. Number 3, the priesthood is not really a position of authority. It is, and it should be. If it's not, there's a problem. But any priest you talk to who is truly living his vocation, I didn't say it at all. I want to clarify, when I say any priest, I mean any priest who's actually genuinely living his vocation. Of course, you're going to come across priests who became priests for the authority. Again, we're all human. It happens. So when I say any priest, I mean any priest who's actually living out his vocation to the fullest. So, that was a little addendum, but wanted to put it in there. So any priest that I've talked to, and I can bet any priest who's actually living out his vocation that you talk to, will say it had nothing to do with the leadership or the authority. In fact, I could name a number of priests who don't want the leadership and authority and preaching. They do it because they're priests, but they don't like it. The only reason I've ever heard for becoming a priest, and okay, it may have been phrased slightly differently, but it was always along the lines of, I fell in love with God. He asked me if I would sacrifice myself, and I said yes. It's always about self-sacrifice. And if you think about it, that's what Christianity is about. Jesus, really the ultimate self-sacrifice. Jesus says in scripture, no greater love has any man than this, that he lay down his life for his friends. So it's really not supposed to be about the authority at all. So I think I'm on number 4. But the last thing I want to say about women in the priesthood, regardless of what number it is priests in a very unique way are called to be alter Christus, or other Christs. Now granted, we're all called to display Christ to the world. However, when a priest is at that altar and has that host, he doesn't say, this is Jesus' body. This is Jesus' blood given for you. He says, this is my body. This is my blood. And it's through those words, those exact specific words, this is my body, this is my blood, that the bread and the wine become the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Christ. And we, when we go to Mass, get to witness Calvary. Like, think about that. Like, mind blown. And so, I'm sorry, ladies, but that's just something we can't do. We cannot act in persona Christi, in the person of Christ, because, sorry, but Jesus was a dude. It's just a fact. He was a dude. So, as much as we are called to show his love and his light to others, we can't actually literally become him. Because he was a guy. And men and women are made differently. So yeah, that's actually a really good unplanned segue into the topic of gender in the church and how we view femininity and masculinity. We absolutely, the Catholic Church 100% sees men and women equal. Absolutely. Every human being has inherent dignity as a child of God made in his image. But equality does not mean exactly the same. Because 7 plus 2 and 6 plus 3 are equal, but they're 2 completely different math problems. Get it? So men and women are equal, but we're 2 completely different things. And this isn't universal, but the natural, the most commonly experienced, I guess, trait among men is that they're conquerors, they're doers, they're active. Whereas women tend to be much more receptive, quiet, like Mary and Martha, sitting at the feet of Jesus, or serving him, but serving him while sitting at his feet, if that makes sense. I don't know if that was a good analogy or not. That made more sense in my head before it came out. But even women who are very active in ministry just naturally tend to be more receptive, whereas men tend to be more active. So I remember hearing a talk at a discernment retreat back in high school, and sister was talking about this exact thing, how men and women are very different. And she was talking about discernment, how men typically do something about their discernment, whereas women typically sit in adoration and listen. And again, not always. I didn't discern that way. Whoops. Didn't work out so well for me either. But you'll hear that on another Friday. So, yeah, I mean, just men and women are completely different. And it was supposed to be that way. We're not supposed to be the same. We're equal, but we're different. I feel like I just said the same thing 50 zillion times, but it's so misunderstood. Equal does not mean exactly the same. So I'll get off that soapbox now because this video is almost 10 minutes as well. And I will see you for part 3. DFTBA.